of Tennessee, also in a much warmer area. Thank you very much for speaking with us. So, as you know, President Trump tweeted yesterday that, next year is going to be a great year for the stock market, companies, jobs in the U.S., et cetera. It has been a tumultuous year, but really ending on a very high note. How difficult is it going to be for this administration to continue the streak into the year 2018?
Right now, I think the momentum is with the House and the Senate to get some things done. And I think you're going to see us continue to move forward. Everybody realizes the American people want to see things done. People are excited about what happened with tax reform. They're looking forward to seeing how this is going to impact their pocketbooks. And they're saying, all right, now let's move on to infrastructure. Let's move on to a repeal agenda, if you will, when it comes to getting regulation off the books. Let's fix the Affordable Care Act. And people are excited to see some things accomplished and to get things done.
There's been a bit of back and forth amongst Republicans regarding fixing the health care system in this country. Some say, let's revisit. Others, Mitch McConnell among them, saying, let's leave it in the past. What is going to happen with health care? Because come January 1st, it's going to be an alarming financial burden for many Americans who are going to be paying even more in premiums. And that is a promise that Republicans made when Obamacare was passed some 8 years ago. And yes, the mandate was repealed, but there are still these looming costs. People just can't afford health care.
But Julie, if you get people out from under the individual mandate and they can move into the marketplace with high deductible health plans, then you ease that burden. In Tennessee, we had 122,000 families last year that paid the penalty for not purchasing an Obamacare compliant plan. 100,000 of those families had incomes of $50,000 a year or less. So this is an incredible financial burden. Our small business owners feel the same way, and they're saying, get this off of our backs. Free us up. Let us provide for people. So with the president taking the initiative to do some things by executive order to open up the marketplace, doing a cross-state line purchase of health insurance, you're going to see more options that are affordable, and people can buy what they want at a price they can afford.
So you're not stuck anymore.
No, we're not stuck.
So now moving forward, I mean, first of all, this tax overhaul thing, people don't realize how difficult it was to get through this. That was a huge accomplishment. I mean, you cannot underestimate that. But the GOP still faces a lot of hurdles. New government funding deadline is on January 19th, which pushed difficult issues like immigration, Obamacare, children's health insurance into early 2018. These are other big hurdles. Let's begin with immigration, because as you know, that moderate version of the travel ban had been passed so that it would allow for extreme vetting. But what else can we expect on immigration?
Well, first of all, when you look at funding, I think you have to remember that during the Obama years, every time we came to a funding issue, they would say, we want a clean CR. We don't want any other discussion of issues. So there's some credit with trying to solve issues and putting these on the table and having that discussion. With immigration, there is a separate March deadline, and I think you're going to see that issue work toward the March deadline that the president has previously set. When it comes to the children's health insurance program and that funding, House Republicans had already pushed forward a 5-year extension of that. But Julie, we had the Democrats not want to work with us on it, and I think it's terrible that they will not work with us on the funding of that program. Our states want answers on this program. And when it comes to the continuing resolution and the January 19th deadline, we in the House have passed every one of our appropriations bills. We would like for the Senate to act like a majority and get those over the finish line.
Here's an incentive for Democrats, and this is why they need to get on board. I mean, the president is very optimistic. I got to give him it. I mean, he is optimistic that Democrats are going to get on board on several of these issues. If they don't, the Democrats are really going to be throwing in the towel come the midterm elections, because when those voters come to the polls, they're going to say, am I better off this year than I was last year? And many people who weren't employed last year will say, yes, I am. And that is what's going to hurt the Democrats.
You're exactly right about that. And it's like with the infrastructure issues with broadband, high-speed internet. I tell my Democrat colleagues who are on the committee that I chair, come work with me. Let's do this together. And the door is open. The invitation is extended. And I encourage them to come and work with us in a bipartisan way. Let's solve these problems that the American people are saying, let's get this job done. And they're exactly right. It is time to move the country forward. We're going to have a great economic year. Let's make it a year of accomplishment for the American people.
And also, you know, looking forward to next year and priorities, where Democrats are going to stand when it comes to things like infrastructure and welfare reform. I mean, infrastructure, first off, after that derailment in Washington and Seattle, it was a deadly derailment. The president immediately, picked up on the fact that our infrastructure problem, which has been a problem for years, is something that has to be tackled. That's going to be at the top of the agenda come the new year. Are Democrats going to be on board?
I would recommend that they be on board. Whether you're looking at bridges, or you're looking at railways, you're looking at aviation, or you're looking at high-speed internet. Each of those are infrastructure issues. Each of them are going to have a role to play. And they are things that affect the American economy. They affect our national security. They affect our communities. They affect so many different components of our lives. So let's come in and let's work together on this so that the changes that we make, the work that we do it in a bipartisan way that is going to last.
Right.
I think, quite frankly, people are sick and tired of the bickering. When I talk to Tennesseans, which I do every single day, they want the fussing and the bickering to be put aside. They don't want things to be about Washington, D.C. It is time to make it about people. And they will tell us regularly, look, we live in communities. We go to work every day. We pay our taxes. We expect your best effort. And they're right about that.
Congresswoman Blackburn, thank you very much. Great to talk to you.
Good to be with you. Happy New Year.
You too. Meantime, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell believes